So, hello, people listening. This is kind of sort of my first attempt at a podcast. I don't really know how to start one of these off. I'm hoping to try and do these either weekly or bi-weekly just to, I don't know, give myself a little something different to do other than school and work and things like that. And just to sort of, I guess, declutter my mind in a public forum of sorts. I am trying to, I do hope to, I was going to say, hopefully you're not looking at a blank screen during this entire thing. I should hopefully have some relevant footage of whatever I'm talking about in the background. If not, enjoy whatever is going on in the background. I know, God, I say a lot. But, like I said, this is just going to be something to try and do weekly, bi-weekly, just to give myself something to do. And I'm sorry if you can hear the fans or anything in the background. AC broke, and it's Florida, which thankfully right now is the time of this recording. It's actually pretty cool. It's in the nice 50s, 60s right now. So it's not that bad, but it's definitely kind of bad. It's like even with windows open, it's kind of like a weird stagnant air in my house. Like, and I'm doing everything I can to get air filtered, moving through the whole place. But yeah, and it's only gonna be me during this. I don't really have anyone to play off of or or anything. Just like I said, this is basically just gonna be me rambling to myself, to people hopefully listening. Anyway, I guess on to the first subject of. I have a little notepad of things I wanted to talk about, and I'm going to be going based off of that. So, 2020 just ended. 2020 was a weird year, is all hell for everyone, all considered. I was thankfully able to stay employed during the entire year. Although I did end up having to quarantine because someone I live with is a hypochondriac and think that the slightest illness of anything is the worst possible scenario. She stubs her toe and it's cancer. She's like a walking WebMD dictionary. But like I was saying, 2020 has come to a close, and I was looking back at some of the games I played during the year, and I'm kind of surprised.
Are you okay?
I blanked out and kind of forgot what exactly released this year. Like I had before starting this, I actually went and looked at the release calendar of everything. And it's just like, what the hell came out this year? I don't remember. Like later, I'm going to talk about some of the few films I saw this year. And, like, I completely blindsided me that Sonic came out in February. And, like, okay. It took me aback when I remembered, oh yeah, that was almost a year ago that I saw Sonic in theaters. In the before times. But, yeah, anyway, like I said, I had to go back and look through the release calendar for some of the games I played this year just to make sure they actually came out this year. One of the first games that immediately came to my mind, though,
Let's go. How many guys did you see?
One of the first games that came to my mind immediately was Tony Hawk. Tony Hawk, the remaster, is probably the one game I played the most this year. It is just absolutely phenomenal. It just breathes a whole new. Maybe I'm trying to find the right word. It breathes this whole new life an energy into Tony Hawk that was so severely missing from like the Robomoto games, and it kind of gives me hope that we'll see some of the extreme sports games come back. SSX, Burnout. I think Burnout technically counts as a sports title. Um, but yeah, those extreme arcadey sports games. There's like this big niche, or I don't want to say niche, but I feel like there's this whole market that's desperate for something. Obviously, EA is going to be releasing Skate 4 whenever. And I hope partially it was rumors of Tony Hawk, or maybe someone heard about Tony Hawk that kind of got the ball rolling on that. But at the same time, like I said, Tony Hawk is definitely one of those games that is to me also very important to my childhood. I can't count the number of nights me and my cousin would spend just playing Tony Hawk 1, 2, 3, and so on his PlayStation or my 64 or GameCube and so on. I still remember when we were playing a single session match, and I want to say it was Underground 2, and we clocked out the timer, 2-minute timer, but both of us kept going on for like another 30 minutes, I want to say, just doing combos.
Answer me.
I think it was 30 minutes, but it was definitely one of those things that, like, at least in rose-tinted glasses, was probably longer than it really was. It was probably just another minute or two. But at the same time, like I said, Tony Hawk is one of the things that I played the most of this year. It is absolutely phenomenal. It is worth every cent. I don't know what the dog is barking at.
Okay, take it easy.
And it just, it's one of those games that legit just gives me hope. I have hope for more Tony Hawk. I have hope for more Skate. I have hope for more Burnout, please, for the love of God. I love a new Burnout. I know Criterion is working on the next Need for Speed, but
You recognize any?
it's definitely one of those.
No.
Like Burnout is. God, I'm gonna ramble off from Tony Hawk for a second, but Burnout is like the game that is like cocaine to me, or maybe that's a bad analogy, but it's like I keep coming back. I keep having to do one more race. I keep wanting to do. You just got to do that one more race. Got to do that one more lap. Got to do that. Got to do this lap, but now faster. Now faster. Now faster. Now faster. Now faster. 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 You get what I'm saying. But other than Tony Hawk, this year was also the English release of Yakuza 7, which I imported because I'm a huge Yakuza fan, and I gave up on trying to play the Japanese version about the time you get to Yokohama. That was about the point when it hit me. Oh, the language barrier is way bigger than the other games. But playing it in English obviously is, or with English. I was gonna say playing it with English subtitles is definitely a hell of a lot easier. I do want to give some praise to the English performances. I was surprised by just how. I was surprised just in general that they actually went the effort to do an English dub. Fucking hell, I really do say a lot. But there was.
What was that?
It was nice to actually have, an actual full English dub. I was starting to get to this point of a bit of burnout with the Yakuza franchise because I have been importing them since. I have been importing them since 5 when it came out on PS3. I also imported Kinzen and Ishin. I had copies of Yakuza 1 and 2 somewhere. and I have apparently lost them. I also have the HD collection on PS3 of 1 and 2, along with Q1. I have English and Japanese versions of every game released so far, is what I'm saying. And I don't know. I guess the English voiceovers gives a bit of. I guess it kind of helps defeat or beat that feeling of burnout that I was having with the franchise. Another thing that also helps is just the change in combat. It's nice to have. It's nice to see a turn-based game, a big budget turn-based game, which seems so rare nowadays. It's definitely not the deepest system, but I do feel that there's room for depth. I think one of the things, assuming Yakuza 8 uses the same combat system, they need to fix is just movement options and letting you know when your attack is going to interact with the environment in some way. Because it is extremely annoying when you think you're going to go and do an attack that... Ow. You think you're going to do an attack that is just going to knock someone down, or it's going to combo a certain way, or it's going to knock the enemy a certain way, and your character runs up and kicks a can that you didn't see or something like that. Like, there's no indication of, oh, you're close enough now that he's going to kick this can or pick up this bicycle or anything like that. At this time, I think my save file said like 30 hours. last I checked, but it's definitely something when I get a bit more free time I plan to jump back into and finish it for one. But it's definitely it was a quick high riser on my list of favorites for this year. There. Another game that I've been playing a whole lot of lately is Cyberpunk. I know it's going to be a controversial pick to some people, but one, I've been playing it on PS5 this whole time, which has kind of negated some of the technical performances that people have seen from PS4. Not completely. The game crashes like every hour and a half, roughly. But it's... I don't know. It's this whole realization of like what the 80s thought the future would look like kind of vibe that the game has. Is this neon-drenched, rain-soaked, corporations run everything, and everyone has bits and bobs of metal and shit just sticking out of them. It's just this really, really cool visual aesthetic that keeps drawing me in. And there are times where the game just ends up just looking drop dead gorgeous. It's like some of the weirdest shit will like distract me from whatever I'm doing in the game. Like there was one mission where you're following someone in a mega building, and it's like this alleyway that we're going down. Just the way the lights are hanging and everything, it just gives this sort of like inky darkness, and I want to describe like the light source with the darkness of the hallway, and it's kind of like oil and water, where it has that sort of like rainbow effect around it. I know that's a weird description. But I will admit that there are definitely a lot of bugs. There's a lot of performance issues. There's a lot of samey quests. There's a lot of things that are just kind of there to help pad out certain aspects of the gameplay. But I think that kind of comes with any sort of big open world game, especially an RPG. Fallout 4 especially does it with the what's his name? The Preston Garvey missions. Another settlement's under attack. You'll drive around Night City, and there'll all be these little spots of, oh look, someone's being held hostage. Oh look, there's this gang, and you need to go take them out. And it's really just there just to give some quick experience, and that's really about it. But the overall story is yeah, it's enough that's hooked me. More specifically, the side stories for, I guess, the companions, or I guess they're supposed to be companions. Um, One that kind of caught me off guard by just how wholesome it was what's his name, River Ward, and it's like, you do this whole side quest of getting his nephew out of this sicko's weird farm place. I don't want to spoil more than that. But then, like, the mission afterwards, or the second one after that, is like, oh, go have dinner with his family and play laser tag with the kids. It's like, this is weirdly wholesome, just out of nowhere. And there's another one of Judy where you go deep sea diving, or not deep sea diving, but you go diving, and you find this town that's been sunken after a dam or whatever burst, or what corporation caused a dam to burst or whatever. And it's just serene, I guess would be the word I'm looking for. Keanu Reeves is definitely a weird inclusion for celebrity casting. Definitely not the first person I would have thought of to include in the game. I mean, it's cool he's in there, but he's definitely one of those, like, you kind of stop for a second and it's like, wait, you got Keanu Reeves, you got Bill and Ted, it's like you got Bill S. Preston as the guy inside your head this entire game. But I want to say that Keanu's performance so far, from what I've seen of it, has been good. There's definitely a handful of lines that feel like they couldn't bring him back to re-record it for whatever reason. But yeah, overall, I've been enjoying Cyberpunk. I just dig the entire aesthetic of it all. I do not like the word aesthetic. But yeah, I just dig the whole thing, and it's cool just to walk. It's cool just to walk around Night City, especially at night in some of the more bustling areas, the little shops, the little things. Especially when it rains in the game, like Night City at night when it's raining looks fucking phenomenal.
Read the letter.
But yeah, just wanted to get some quick thoughts on Cyberpunk out, and why I personally enjoy it.
Here's something to hold you over, Leah.
Another game I've been playing a whole lot of is the definitive edition of Xenoblade Chronicles. More specifically because it's nice that I can finally play it. I had the Wii version at some point, and then someone, after we figured out how to soft mod the Wii and put games on a hard drive, decided he was going to sell all my games and get a bunch of Rock Band songs with the trade-in credit. Dumb fuck. But yeah, Xenoblade Chronicles has definitely been a lot of fun. It was always fun to begin with, but it's nice that I can finally play it when I want, because originally when the Wii version came out, we didn't really have a whole lot of options for where the Wii could sit, because it was the only way my parents could use Netflix. So it's like, I want to play Xenoblade, and they're watching frickin' Ghost Hunters, I think. at the time. But I did also get the 3DS version at some point. Played that for a while, but I have big meat hands, so a 3DS or Vita or anything is just kind of hurts after like 10-20 minutes.
So those are the wolves.
But overall, it's still just Xenoblade. It looks nicer. It plays a little bit better. It has some quality of life improvements, and overall I like it. I haven't touched the epilogue story thing. Waiting till after I actually beat the game, because if I remember correctly, I was just before the final boss in the original, or maybe 2 or 3 rooms before the final boss. So I kind of want to get back to that point, beat the game, and then start the epilogue mission thingamajig. But overall, definitely one game that I put a lot of time in when I could put time into things. But yeah, and then Hyrule Warriors: Age of Calamity definitely kind of took me by surprise. It was, I think I enjoyed the original Hyrule Warriors. I definitely got a lot of enjoyment out of that. I have bought it on all 3 times it came out. I bought it on Wii U. I bought it on 3DS, which avoid the 3DS version at all fucking cost. That is, doesn't matter if you played on the base 3DS or the new 3DS. It runs like absolute shit. And then the Switch version, because it had all the DLC and everything included from all the other releases. But Age of Calamity is definitely nice. It paints itself as a prequel to Breath of the Wild, which it kind of is, and then it kind of pulls the rug out from under you, and yeah, surprise. It kind of does that on you.
Dina.
But it's definitely something that, yeah, if you enjoyed the first one, or if you enjoyed the Dynasty Warriors types of games, doesn't hurt to pick it up. I would say get it on sale, but it is a Nintendo game, so that's rare. But if you're like me and you hoard your gold coins on My Nintendo for that one big purchase, and maybe use them for Age of Calamity, because I know I did, because I ended up buying it for $25, and I can't complain for $25. Then another thing that actually came out, this is like the hidden gem to me of this year that I don't see many people talk about, is No Straight Roads. This game that sort of, I remember a trailer came out and just being like, oh my god, what the hell is this thing? This looks freaking amazing. You know, rock versus EDM? Okay, I'm in. But it's this fun little platformer where it's hard to really describe it. It's kind of like this weird ass Jet Set Radio, Psychonauts, and there's a third thing in there. I don't know what it is, but there's definitely a third thing. Kind of mixture of these things, and for I was gonna say, this one's just kind of hard for me to talk about because it's just like something that just kind of clicks, and I don't know why it clicks, but it clicks, and it clicks well, and it clicks, like, it keeps popping up in my brain where, like, I'll be at work and suddenly I'll start humming the Sayu boss theme, or I'll start humming the
I don't know.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to remember what the song is called. It's like the approach song
Maybe they're done.
that plays as you're approaching each boss. But it's just hilarious seeing these fun little jabs at various
Aren't who they were looking
music.
for.
I don't want to say personalities, but you can tell who they're mocking somewhat. DJ Subatomic Supernova is clearly like the Daft Punk, Dead Mouse type performer. Sayu is Hatsune Miku. 1010 is like K-pop boy bands. Yinu is just, you know, the child prodigy. You know, it's and then, Christ, what is her name? There's like one more other than the final boss, who's like Sia. Yeah, she has this weird, or not Sia, but, or I guess Sia and Lady Gaga. Yeah, it seems like a more appropriate. But
How do you want to handle
at the same time, like, another thing is that I personally love is that,
where the others are? There.
you know, for a game that says, you know, rock, you know, the whole marketing gimmick that I remember was like rock versus EDM. It really nails all the other musical genres in it. It's like, oh, you want a little bit of classical? Okay, we'll fucking nail that. Oh, you want a little pop? You know, little J-pop? We'll fucking nail that. You want house? Nailed that. EDM? Nailed that. It's like I so hope to God we get us. I want a sequel to No Straight Roads. It is such. I want to see a sequel. I want to see this, but bigger, badder, more. I want more No Straight Roads. I mean, for Christ's sakes, they did like a freaking Christmas update recently, so there's now Christmas remixes of all the bosses, where everyone's in like, you know, Santa hats and Oh fuck! It's at this point it's been a few months since I played it, so I'm sure trying to remember some of the names. Um, Mayday and Zook, they're wearing a Santa outfit and an elf outfit. The bosses all have different Christmas themed outfits. I think Yinu's a nutcracker. Sayu becomes a reindeer, I think. I haven't seen the Christmas stuff, but it's one of those things where, again, it just kind of it's a me game. It clicks so fucking well. I can't really put into words how well it clicks. It's one of those. Oh, fuck! I keep saying the word click. The word's gonna lose its fucking meaning. But it's one of those things that,
WLF fuckers.
like I said, it's one of those things where it's like, oh, this is for me. But I would honestly recommend getting it, checking it out if you have the chance. It's phenomenal. Stay away from the Switch version from what I've seen. It performs well, but it has like these awful textures. But still, even if you only have the Switch even if you only have access to the Switch version, at least try it out. It's at least worth I was gonna say it's $40 for the base game, and then I think it's like an extra 10 if you want to get the soundtrack with it. Which, yeah, I'd say go ahead and pay the extra 10 and get the soundtrack, because the soundtrack is pretty fucking phenomenal. Another game that definitely got my attention in 2020 and was actually one that motivated me to start wanting to try and do video production a bit more seriously on the side, even if I have been struggling with the fucking thing this entire time, which I'll talk about later, was The Last of Us Part 2. I was gonna say, I definitely had the thing spoiled for me. I had the twist. I'm trying to avoid saying what the twist is, or the spoiler, the big spoiler, but I'm certain people are aware what it is. I had it spoiled for me. I had it I had it spoiled for me when I was trying to find a video of how to fix something in my car. Like, that is the weirdest way to like even now, that is like so fucking weird. It's like, how to fix this for this model car. Oh, look, it's this scene. Wait, what the fuck is this do?
What are you doing with that?
Some people are just weird with wanting to post spoilers everywhere. But it's definitely one that I was gonna say, it's one of those games that I have very mixed feelings on, and it's mixed because of
I'll be back in a sec.
how I feel the franchise should move forward. And I do say franchise because as soon as the first game was a hit, I was like, this is getting a sequel. But it's definitely, I do like some of the improvements of the gameplay. I definitely like the ability to go prone on the ground. I like the ability to jump. That's always nice to have. I love the AI is just overall much harder. One of the last recording sessions I was getting gameplay footage for was right after the update where they added motion controls, which I was surprised to see happen. As someone who played a lot of Doom 2016 on Switch, with the gyro aiming on, and along with Splatoon 2 and a handful of others, gyro aim definitely is nice to have, and it's nice to see it in other. It's gonna say, like, the PlayStation has support for it. Why don't you fucking use it? But it's nice to see that added. But at the same time, it's like, I'm trying to talk about it without actually spoiling it. But at the same time, it's something that also feels like it was two separate games, or at the very least, this was a game and a DLC just bundled together. The whole second half of the game feels like it was.
I can still kind of see the buildings.
In fact, like I said, I'm gonna talk about.
Let's see.
A little bit later, about some of my other feelings about The Last of Us 2 because I can't seem to write a review script that I'm happy with, so I will just post it in here and see how that goes. But it's definitely something that I've been coming back. I've obviously been coming back to it. I've been recording footage of it. I have almost the entire game recorded because I didn't record my first playthrough because I figured, oh, cool, there was a cutscene viewer in the last game. I should be able to. No, there's no cutscene viewer. I do want to give immense praise for the Rat King segment. That was out of nowhere. For me personally, The Last of Us has never really been scary. But that one segment, ooh man, they amped up the horror, they amped up the atmosphere. And it didn't help that like the first fucking growl of the Rat King was. So I have two rooms that I play a lot in. I have my bedroom and I have a big media room that has this big badass sound system. And I realized, oh shit, it's almost midnight. I should probably put my headphones on. So I remember, it's like just that hair fraction second before the growl starts, pausing it, plug my headphones in, I put them on, turn them on, and then as soon as I unpause it, that fucking growl it makes, and it just immediately pauses, like, what the fuck was that? Was that the headphones or was that something outside? But it was definitely something where, if there's going to be a third game. If the third game can nail that horror aspect more,
Oh shit.
I would absolutely love it. Other than The Last of Us Part 2, Spider-Man Miles Morales was a nice surprise. It, kind of got announced out of nowhere.
Shit.
And was like, hey, it's coming out in like 4 months. And I was like, okay, cool. Is it DLC or is it an expansion? It's like, it's both. Sort of. Like, this could easily be DLC for Spider-Man. But it's
I sure hope not.
it's a big, nice expansion for Spider-Man, obviously. It's nice. I don't know what it is, but I always love seeing superhero stuff in like winter, like just New York covered in snow or Gotham covered in snow. Like as soon as you say, "Oh, it's this setting," but it's snowing, like it's like, "Oh, I like that," and I don't know why.
Anything
I don't know. Maybe it's because I've never seen snow.
Halloween stuff.
And
Some of this stuff is funny.
then there was, and why did this fall? And then there was Doom. Doom Eternal. Definitely one of the big games I was most excited for this year. And it was absolutely, absolutely phenomenal. I was gonna say, I know on the forums I made no qualms about the Marauders the first time. After a little bit of time, you kind of get used to it and figure it out and go, like, oh, okay, this. And they go down within a couple seconds. It's one of those things where, it's just this quick, fast, visceral, rip someone in half, cut them in half, chain, shove a chainsaw up their ass and a shotgun down their throat, kind of shit. It just, activates. God, what is the? I'm trying to think of the right word, but it's definitely something I just had like a stupid grin the entire time. And like, the soundtrack by Mick Gordon, which it's gonna be hard. I know the DLC had, what was his name, Andrew Hulshult, do some music, but it just kind of wasn't the same. But Mick Gordon's soundtrack was absolutely phenomenal. I believe the track "They Will Fear You" is the one that definitely sticks out in my mind. It's just this. God, I wish there was an actual soundtrack to buy that was mixed by Mick Gordon and not whatever the weird one was that Bethesda released. And I guess to kind of close things out a little bit, No More Heroes 1 and 2. I was not expecting that to come to Switch. I was not expecting it to be ported at all. It was a nice surprise to see No More Heroes 1 and 2 get released on Switch, and they do their damnedest to emulate the control style from the Wii original. It definitely feels a bit weird, as the button placement is different than what my muscle memory wants to do, but it's definitely something that, it's like, oh, cool, it's on new platform. I get favorite game on new platform. I mean, for fuck's sakes, I have bought Resident Evil 4 more times than I care to admit, along with Ocarina of Time. So, a second purchase of No More Heroes is, fine with me. And then, as a huge film buff, this year kind of sucked, and I think you can all figure out why. I did watch a couple movies through streaming, but it's just not the same. I did see at least 2 movies this year in theaters. 1917, which I think technically came out in December of 2019, but I didn't see it till like January of last year. But 1917 was one of those films that was just phenomenal, and it's definitely something that needs to be seen I think it needs to be seen as in a theater-like environment as best as you can emulate it. A big giant screen, a big giant sound system, or some decent headphones, and just glue your ass to the seat for the next I think 2.5 hours. It's legit just it's one long take, and I was completely sold on that. I fucking love shit like that, especially when there's something cool going on during it. One of my favorite single take scenes was the opening of Spectre, which I wish the film was better, but that opening scene in Spectre where you follow Bond from a party to a hotel to the rooftop all the way up to when he gets the sniper rifle, that was cool. That sold me on the movie, thinking it was going to be way better than it was going to be. But 1917, it does it for an entire runtime. It just it looks cool, and you get. I was going to say, me, my brother, and a friend of ours, we went and saw it, and we were all just glued to the seats. It was like, like, I don't, I cannot recall the last time where I didn't think immediately, I need to go to the bathroom at any point during the movie. I think everyone has that thought enter their head where they'll be sitting there, cold soda, cold room, and then like, I really have to pee. 1917 was like, staring up at the screen like, I do have to pee, but I don't want to take my eyes away. I know that sounds like a dumb description, but that's kind of the consensus the three of us had when we went and saw it. Then shortly after that was the Sonic the Hedgehog movie, which had no right being as good as it is. It's a buddy road trip movie basically, but I think it does a good job as build up and setting up Sonic as a film franchise, which will be weird to think about going forward, because I think Sonic 2 starts filming in March, and it's going to have Knuckles, and I'm willing to bet Ice-T is going to play Knuckles. like for whatever reason, I just have this thought in my head, like, Ice-T is going to be Knuckles. He's going to be Knuckles. Mark my fucking words. He's going to play Knuckles. as dumb as that sounds. But yeah, I remember seeing Sonic in theaters. I had a chance to leave work early that day and was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm going to go see Sonic. And was genuinely surprised. It was far better than I was expecting. It was also weird that, everyone essentially bullied a movie studio into redoing a huge chunk of a visual effect. Like, that is so weird, but at the same time, the final design for Sonic in the film looks so much fucking better. And he just meshes He's he's true to his design in the games, but he meshes well enough with the live action actors, and that's what I think is important to his design. And then there's that Jim Carrey, which I don't know if he'll be coming back, because Jim Carrey has said numerous times he doesn't do sequels unless he feels he can take the character somewhere that he wants to take the character. So hopefully Jim Carrey is returning. I hope so, because he fucking steals the like every scene he's in, kind of steals the movie. So, and it'll be fun to see what crazy Jim Carrey will do with Eggman, or I should say crazy Eggman. And then I was gonna say there were a couple other things I watched throughout the year. I watched the newest season of ReZero. I've been waiting for that. That was definitely fun and entertaining. Although technically the season's not done because it only played the first half, and the second half starts in like 2-3 weeks, I think. And I'm drawing a blank for some reason. Yashahime is another thing I started watching. The sequel to Inuyasha was it's I'm gonna probably keep watching it for at least this first half of its season, for however long it goes, but it has inherited some of the best aspects of Inuyasha, of the original, but it's also inherited some of the worst aspects, like the general. Let me put it this way: if I remember the original Inuyasha correctly, the general arc setup and goal is done within like the first 3 episodes. Yashahime takes like 5 to do that. And it's like, oh yay, it's gonna be this slow plotting, but it's not, sorta. One of the weirdest things about it is that the individual stories told per episode are not that bad. They move along at a brisk pace, they keep you interested, and that's all fine, well and good. But then there's like the overall goal, the end goal, the end picture, the overall mystery that the show is set up, and it's like, are we gonna slowly trudge closer to getting details on this, or what's going on? What's what did Shishomaru kill Inuyasha? Why does Moraha not know who her parents are? Why does it's setting up mysteries, and it's like doing a really, really slow job of answering them. Which, I get it. It's a mystery. It's meant to draw you in, but it's going along so fucking slow. And I like slow burn stuff, but this is abysmally slow. Shit. What else did I watch this year?
It's us, right?
Shit, was that really all I watched? Oh, Lupin. Lupin the First. Been really interested in this film since seeing some of the first trailers. It's a 3D CG Lupin film, and it nails the characters in three. It's gonna say it looks phenomenal. It's gonna say it's a pretty standard loop. Come on, brain, work. I'd say overall it's a pretty standard Lupin story, but it's also perfect for bringing in a newer audience. It's kind of like the best of every variation of Lupin that's been around. There's a bit of the Miyazaki, there's a bit of the TV versions, there's a bit of the this and that and whatnot, kind of mixed in and thrown in. It's nice in the English version that they got all the original actors from the TV show, which was phenomenal, because Tony Oliver to me is Lupin. Jigen and Zenigata are always fun and interesting. Although I do wish the Lupin crew actually had more to do throughout the film. I was gonna say, like, Jigen and Goemon only show up in the intro and then disappear till till literally the third act starts. Same thing with Fujiko. She shows up in the intro and then she disappears for a while. Same thing with Zanigata. But it's, yeah, hopefully if there's a sequel, they do a bit more of the Lupin gang. It's definitely gonna it's fuck, why is my probably shouldn't have done this after work, or my brain is melted and everything fucking hurts. But it's definitely, it's a good Lupin story. You can show your niece and nephews this Lupin story if that's what I'm saying. But it's also one that, you know, someone like me who's been a longtime Lupin fan, at least since the show started airing on Adult Swim back in 2003, 2004. You know, it's just a fun, enjoyable film. And it's got one of the best renditions of the Lupin theme, I think. So, there's also that. So at the time of this recording, it's been, I don't know, about 2-ish months since the PS5 came out. And I was gonna say, I definitely like it. I like going back and replaying some PS4 games on it, specifically because some of them have some performance enhancements. Ghost of Tsushima at a solid 60 is, yeah, phenomenal. Final Fantasy 15 at a solid 60 is phenomenal. And just gonna go on a tangent. Final Fantasy 15 is like my favorite, best, worst unfinished game, if that makes any sense. Like, playing it again, it's like you can see the corners that were cut here and there to get the damn thing out. I know everyone likes to say, "Oh, it had 10 years of development. It had 10 years." No, it had 3. It had 3 years of development, and if anything, it was more like 3 years of development and, you know, an extra 10 of concepting. But yeah, it's definitely been a few months with the PS5. One of the coolest things I love is the adaptive triggers. It's hard to really put into words, but it's like Dirt 5, I think, so far is like one of the big showpieces for it, where you can feel the tension of the ground. You know, gravel feels different from tarmac, feels different from grass, which feels different from dirt, which feels different from, you know, so on and so forth. And it's really kind of cool. It's like I said, it's hard to really put into words, but it's like, you know, you'll go over a bump on, all of a sudden, you know, since there's nothing underneath the wheels, you immediately slam down on the accelerant, and as soon as you release it, like it's cool. It's really hard to put into words. Or Spider-Man. Spider-Man has a pretty decent use of it, where you can feel like how much tension is being put into pressing like the little button for the web shooters. It's definitely something that I think, or I'm just gonna say, I'm pretty sure mostly only the first party studios at Sony are going to be making use of. I don't see a lot of big uses for it. Or third parties that are using it are probably finding annoying uses for it. Immortals Phoenix Rising it's a fun little game, but it has the most annoying use for the adaptive triggers, which is that when you do the telescope vision, I forget what they call it, but when you do that, the triggers will, as you get closer to things, the triggers will sort of click as you get closer and closer to something. It's like, and then as you get closer and closer, it just starts getting faster and faster. And that's more annoying than anything. Because it's like, oh, look, there's this thing. I can clearly see it. It's like, yay, triggers. That was it freaks me out every time because like I know it does it, but every time I go to look off in the distance and it's like, it starts clicking again. And it's like, oh fuck, I keep forgetting it does this. Astrobot is a nice little surprise that's included with the system. Gonna say it's a fun little platformer. It's fun just finding some of the Easter eggs. Definitely a big showcase piece for the controller, what it can do. I will say I'm a little surprised that the speaker it's a bit higher quality than I was expecting. Also weird to play something like Call of Duty and all of a sudden everyone's voice is coming out of it. And it's like, oh, why is this a thing? Because it just annoys the hell out of me. I mean, granted, I'm the kind of person who plays online shooters and turns all the microphones off. Like, you're muted, you're muted, you're muted. I don't fucking care what any of you have to say. Like, I know to play the objective, do you? But, I mean, it's not to say I don't play with a microphone every now and then on, but it's not something I go out of the way of doing. But yeah, I will say the biggest detriment to the PS5 right now is just storage. There's like 800 gigabytes of, or was it 860 something gigabytes of free space on the thing, and there's a slot where you can put external, or I was gonna say you can put PS4 games on external memory, but not PS5. And there is a slot where you can put an expanded hard drive into the PS5, but it's not in use yet. So, like for me personally right now, I'm just kind of sitting here waiting just for the update. So, like, I have, I think, 200 something set aside just for an SSD because, the biggest issue with the PS5 is, 800 gigabytes. It sounds good at first, and then you remember, oh yeah, this is 60 gigabytes, this is 70 gigabytes, this is 100 gigabytes. And then, that's when it kind of dawns on you, oh yeah, we really need more storage options. I'm hoping, as time goes on, more and more developers take use of the sort of a la carte option that PS5 has, where you can say, Call of Duty. You can download only the single player, or you can download only the multiplayer, or you can download only the zombies mode. You will be forced to download Warzone at all fucking times, regardless of if you want to play it or not. But, at least you have some options as to what is getting installed onto your hard drive. So, yay. And I'm pretty sure it's the reason why going forward you're going to see some games get split up releases, like Red Dead Online got separated from Red Dead 2. So, I imagine we'll probably see something similar. I'm pretty sure it's also the reason why GTA Online is getting its own separate release on next-gen consoles. But that's a whole subject for another time, I think. Now, as I mentioned earlier, The Last of Us 2 is kind of what initially sparked something in me to try and do video reviews. I did a couple years ago, but never uploaded them because they were pure shit. But one of the things is that in the downtime since then, the fuck, it's been like 7 years. My writing skills have gone completely to shit. So one of the big hurdles for me lately has been as I keep writing and rewriting this little behemoth of a script for The Last of Us 2, is that I do not feel satisfied with anything that I have written and rewritten. And I was gonna say, I think I'm on like my 12th or 13th draft. I'll have to double check it, but because every time every time I get a draft where I'm not happy with it, I just delete the damn thing. But it's something. I was gonna say, when it comes to The Last of Us, there's a couple things that I feel are kind of making my thoughts on it biased, and it's like don't know if I want to include those in the video. I don't know if I should. What and then there's the spoilers. On one hand, everyone knows about the spoilers, and then the at the same time, I don't want to spoil it for people that are just playing it, or they may somehow manage to avoid the spoilers. So, I keep, like I said, I keep not feeling satisfied with anything I've written. Like, I'll write something down, and then I'll start recording the voiceover for it, and then just something in me goes, yeah, no, this isn't good. I don't like this. And I just like I've been spending some of my free time on my lunch breaks at work just kind of looking up writing exercises, like what can help me write something that I can at least be happy with. And it's just this constant it's like I just don't ever feel satisfied with it. Like, I have been writing some smaller scripts, which I feel happy with, and I think the Tony Hawk one I mostly just improv'd into this thing. I think I'll have to go back and look at it after the recording, but it's one of those things where I don't know. Granted, I used to write all the time on the game trailers forums, for more specifically the blogs. I used to do reviews on the blogs, and I know I wasn't the best at them, but I at least liked doing it, and I always told myself, if I had the means and I had the equipment, I would do video reviews, and I have the means and I have the equipment, and I'm now drawing a blank on what to write and how to express words or how to express thoughts into words that I feel fully articulate my points. One of those being like, I think that The Last of Us 2 should not have focused on Ellie. I think Ellie and Joel should have not been involved with the story at all. It should have just been Abby, only Abby, and go from there. The same way, at the same time, I also feel that the third game, I guarantee there will be a third game, should not have Abby at all. It should be an anthology series. It should be exploring the world from different perspectives. It should be, okay, we've seen the East, we've seen the West Coast, we've seen Seattle, we've seen Salt Lake. What about New York? How's New York handling the outbreak? Or Canada, or Nova Scotia, Alaska? The French. I mentioned this in the forums the other day, but like the French catacombs. Like, think of that for The Last of Us as a setting. Like,
give me your hand.
Like, that would be terrifying. But yeah, it's like, I just don't see The Last of Us as something that should be a continued story of any group of people. It needs to move on, because that's the world that they're in. You live, you die, everyone else is moving on. No one cares. That's one of the things I think people kind of forget in any discussion of The Last of Us, is that Joel's a piece of shit. Ellie's a piece of shit. Abby's a piece of shit. Lev's a piece of shit. Tess was a piece of shit. Bill's a piece of shit. Everyone's a piece of shit in this world. But everyone is doing their best to try and survive. And it's, in these isolated moments, Joel's a good guy, or Ellie's a good guy, and so on and so forth. But I just feel that limiting the franchise as a whole to continuing one person's perspective of the world is going to limit it. It's like, okay, we've seen Ellie's perspective. Now let's see Abby's perspective. Well, Abby's isn't all that different. Can I say she's mostly just getting over PTSD. But like one of the things I talked about somewhere, I think it was on the Easy Allies forums, was like my dream idea of The Last of Us 2 would be something like Death Stranding, Death Strand, or I was gonna say the basic idea of Death Stranding, where you go around to these different little settlements, and you are. I was gonna say you are objectively the good guy, but it's up to you to be the good guy. You can be a total douche to everyone you come across. You might come across a location and it's like, oh hey, we ran from a bunch of clickers and my kid dropped their toy and my kid won't shut up about the toy. Can you go get the toy? I know this sounds like a very very boring explanation, but I think I was gonna say they like the idea of what I'm trying to express is like the story of a person who one person who can kind of cause something to click in other people and go, oh, humanity's not dead. There are still good people out there. Is kind of what I'm getting at. I know I'm just kind of rambling on a scenario, but although granted, my dream scenario would also have like the last radio DJ. So that would be a thing. as dumb as it sounds. Like I'm sure someone could make this work.
Be smart.
But going back onto the main subject, like I have my own like I said initially, I have my own thoughts and feelings towards The Last of Us as a franchise, and it's that any future involvement with Ellie, Abby, Joel,
I like you.
I'm forgetting the name of the town, but
I met this guy once from the Joels.
any future involvement with them needs to either be cameos or none at all. As simple as that.
Wait, he lived alone in an entire town?
But yeah, I guess those are my thoughts on The Last of Us 2 and what's kind of been
Kept him alive.
eating a hole in me every time I try and write something. There's also the fact that as I've been replaying the game, recapturing footage or capturing footage, it's come to my realization that the story is probably told out of order and not in the best way. The reason I say this is because there's flashbacks throughout the game, and as you play the flashbacks, even if you have the tutorial messages turned off, even on your first time playing, they still pop up, and that floored me the first time. And it's like, why am I getting tutorial messages when I'm like 3 hours into the game? Why is this popping up now? And after I finish the game, and I might upload this sometime later, but after I finished the game and recaptured some footage of Ellie's portion of the game, I went ahead and took the flashback sequences and I edited them as not necessarily all together, but like the beginning and end of each sequence and in line with one another. And the story to me, it flows much better chronologically. And it also fits with how Naughty Dog normally does their tutorials, which are easy enough to pick apart. But it's interesting. It's like, if they had done it this way, then one, I think a lot of people's complaints about the twist in the game, or the big death, if you want to call it that, would probably be avoided, because you'd get the thing people wanted to see more of pretty much done and out of the way, and you would have left it on a sour note initially, and before showing the proper end of that relationship. And the same thing also applies to Abby. Her flashback sequences line up surprisingly well in chronological order. And I know that sounds dumb. Of course it lines up. It's in chronological, but I mean, in terms of gameplay, you have the first segment, the first flashback where you control her, you move the camera, and you do these little things, and then you have the second one where you learn to jump and swim, and then you have the third one where you learn to shoot, and it's like, okay, cool. But then you play the first section where you're in the WLF place, the stadium, and it has these sequences, and it's like, why is there a tutorial with a tutorial to another tutorial? It just feels
It's that way.
weird, and I feel like there's something off. It just gives me this feeling about The Last of Us 2 where it's off, where its whole pacing is off, because you have this sequence that was designed as a tutorial, but then you also have to play this sequence in the main chunk of the game that's also a tutorial. So it's like, why am I getting two tutorials back to back about the same thing that I just did? Or in Ellie's case, you can swim before you get the tutorial prompt, or the tutorial sequence, if you want to call it that. So I just find it a bit weird, is all. But I guess those are some of my thoughts and hang-ups on why I'm having trouble
Smart.
writing
That works.
for The Last of Us 2. And
Seen Joel do this.
as I keep looking at my scripts for him, I keep feeling like I bit off more than I can chew, because like I'm not a
With all this.
good word person.
Where's that silver?
Yeah, so I don't know, maybe it's something that I'll just have to come back and do God knows when, assuming I can figure out a decent schedule to do things, because work and life and the school stuff I have to do is making it really fucking hard, especially my aunt and her fucking never-ending drama of bullshit. Oh. And I'm not kidding on that last one. It's like every fucking week there's something new. And she manages to somehow drag everyone into it. And I'm trying not to go into that, because that goes way too personal, revealing at the same time. Yeah, fuck it. I'm not gonna go into that now. Maybe. I don't know. So I guess one of the last subjects I'm going to talk about is the IO Interactive James Bond game. I was not expecting that. Sort of was. There was, what was it, Reddit, 4chan, some 2-3 years ago, had a leak, quotes, saying that like Warner Brothers was only publishing Hitman 2 because they wanted IO to be involved with any future James Bond stuff that they were trying to do, because they were in the bidding war to try and get the rights for Bond. But again, it's cool to see them actually working on a James Bond game, because Hitman has felt like a James Bond game, just minus all the character and charisma and the style. Pretty much everything that people like about Bond. I was gonna say I'm not the biggest fan of Hitman. I have tried multiple times to get into it. It's so weird. It's like it's something that should click. It's like it's 007, but it's not. And I guess it's that not part that's driving me away from Hitman. But I can see especially in the newer entries, the little things that can be done to make it a 007 game, if you will. Imagine the Paris segment from the 2016 game, and you have, you go up to the bar and you talk to the barkeep, and he's like, "Oh, you don't look like someone who blends in around here," and
There's a TV station.
you have like a dialogue choice, and you have dialogue choices and options, and be like, I don't normally come to these kind of events. Who are these famous people? And you can get some information about people who might be able to help you, and be like, oh, this person, they're the daughter of a foreign dignitary. They I think they're up in the VIP section. That foreign dignitary. Okay. I don't know. I don't know why I keep defaulting to Sean Connery.
You're not being subtle right
But
now.
then
Maybe Lily will come to us.
but then
Yeah.
but then you go
Or they might
go
find it
you know you can go up to the foreign dignitary and try and lay the charisma down on her and be like, I'd like to dig in your territory. What the fuck am I fucking What the fuck am I saying? but but fuck. But yeah, you can just I can see just a little dialogue system or something, just to add some flavor to the world. Just to you go to the barkeep. Well, they know something about the event that's going on, obviously, and they might be able to pinpoint someone who might be able to get you something, or get you into somewhere.
Maybe we could.
And one of the things to me about Hitman that kind of annoys me is that there's no payoff. Like, you sneak into a place, you get the documents, you kill the targets, and then you get out. And in some cases, it makes sense to obviously do that as stealthily as possible. But, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but like every mission in Hitman, I always view it,
Let's get inside.
again, I always kind of view it like a Bond mission. It's like, this should be the point where there should be a chase. or this should be the point where you get into a car, or use some gadget from Q Branch, which Q Branch needs to be something like Laura's mansion. Like, they just need to give you this large open space with Q Branch where you can mess around with every weapon and gadget, and hopefully John Cleese will bring John Cleese in as Q, because he was kind of funny as Q, and I like John Cleese. But it's something I'm kind of keeping my eye on. It's something I want to see more of. Or I was gonna say, we only have like a teaser trailer, but like I can see, just looking at Hitman 1 and 2 and 3 from what's been shown of it so far, I can see almost like a sort of progression towards, we're making a 007 game. And I hope to God it's good, because I had desperately want a new 007 game. It feels like such a weird thing to be missing out on for a licensed game. But like, 007, it can be a first-person shooter, it can be a third-person action-adventure, it can be all these other things. And we haven't gotten one since like 2009, 2008. When did... Yeah, 2008, 9? I think 9. But yeah, like, granted, that's also due to me being a huge 007 fan. I have made a point since I've been able to go by myself, or at least made a point since I've been able to go to them, see every Bond film I can in theaters, even catching a few flashback cinemas and whatnot, where they've had films. But fuck, I'm kind of forgetting the whole point I was talking about.
But it's a message.
This just happened. You think they're still here?
But yeah, I'm gonna be keeping an eye on IO's James Bond title, and I hope we see something more of it soon, like something more substantial than just a 007 logo. And I guess I'll call this the end. Thanks for listening to me ramble on. Like I said, I don't know how to do a podcast. I'm also not the best speaker, as you've probably heard. I also have no one to play off of. Not a soul, except me and myself. And the rat. But if you've listened all the way to the end, thanks. Not sure how to end this, so bye.